Title: My wife of 12 years. Emailed me from yoga retreat. I've found someone worth my time. I've moved your inheritance into my personal account. I simply wrote back, thanks for letting me know. When she contacted her lawyer the next day, she dropped her phone in shock. Chapter 1. The email that ended everything. It was 7:14 a.m. when I opened the email. I had just returned from walking our dog Diesel. The sun had barely risen, and the scent of fresh coffee was just starting to fill the house. Our house. The one we bought together 10 years ago when life still felt real. Subject: I need to be honest with you. Ethan. This weekend has given me clarity. Being here, with people who understand energy, purpose, and worth, has shown me what I've been missing. I've met someone. His name is Kale. He's deeply spiritual, a life coach, and he's made me feel seen in ways you never could. I'm not coming back. Also, I've transferred the $420,000 from your inheritance into my personal account. Since we're married, it's fair game, and I need it more than you do. Please don't make this harder than it needs to be. I'll have my lawyer reach out. Madeline. I stared at the screen for a long moment. My hands didn't shake. My jaw didn't clench. I didn't throw the coffee mug against the wall or scream. Instead, I leaned back in the chair and let out a quiet laugh. Because what she didn't know was that the game she just started, I had already won it. Chapter 2. Silent moves, loud impact. I didn't reply to Madeline's email with rage. No threats, no panic, no begging, just a simple message typed with steady fingers. Thanks for letting me know. That was enough. Enough to buy me the time I needed, and to plant the seed of confusion in her mind. She didn't know that my inheritance, left by my late grandfather, was never accessible to her in the first place. Why? Because Granddad had been through 2 divorces of his own. He made me swear that the trust would stay separate, with ironclad clauses. The account she transferred money from? A decoy. 2 months prior, after she started acting distant, suddenly finding herself through late-night workshops and extended weekend retreats, I consulted with my family lawyer and created a mirror account. Same bank, same digits, just a dummy with 0 legal validity. I even seeded it with just enough funds to make her feel victorious. $420,000 was the bait. The real trust, though, locked under a separate shell corporation in Wyoming, invisible to her, or anyone she might hire. That night I called my attorney again. Time to trigger the clause, I said calmly. He didn't even ask which one, just replied, done. She's going to regret underestimating you. Chapter 3. The panic begins. The next day, I went to work as usual. Madeline must have expected me to collapse, to call her 100 times, to curse or grovel or threaten. Instead, I filed 2 things by noon: a petition for legal separation with asset freeze, and a formal injunction against the unauthorized transfer of marital property, because the account wasn't hers, because she thought I was asleep. I wasn't. Weeks ago, I'd noticed strange behavior. Her laptop left open with new email aliases, incense orders from a remote retreat in Arizona, and phone calls answered only in the bathroom. So I preempted it all. I installed silent tracking on our joint devices. Nothing malicious. Just protection, legal insurance. I'd gathered timestamps, IP logs, call recordings, and the final nail? Security footage from our shared home office showing her logging into the fake account and moving the funds, smiling while doing it. That afternoon, her new soulmate, Kale, posted a blurry photo of the 2 of them meditating on a beachside cliff. Caption: alignment, intention, abundance. I almost laughed, because at that very moment, her phone buzzed with a text from her attorney. She ignored it until it rang again. And again. She finally picked up. That's when it happened. She screamed, loud enough that other retreat guests ran over. In her panic, she dropped her phone, and her face went pale when she read the words on the screen. Bank account frozen. You're under investigation for fraud. The trust isn't in your name. We need to talk. Urgently. Chapter 4. Retreat turned prison. Back at the retreat in Sedona, the atmosphere had shifted. The desert air that once felt serene now pressed heavily against Madeline's skin as she stared blankly at her phone screen. Her soulmate, Kale, tried to calm her. "Baby, what's going on?" She didn't answer. She just trembled. She called her lawyer. No answer. Called again. Straight to voicemail. Then she tried to log into the fake bank account she thought held the inheritance. Access denied. Not wrong password. No such account found. "Try again," Kale urged. She did. Same result. Her hands shook. "It's gone. The money's gone." Kale's tone changed instantly. "What do you mean, gone? What the hell are you talking about?" And that's when it hit her. Kale was never in this for love. He was in it for the money. Now without it, he wasn't even pretending to be gentle. He stood up. "I left my life for this. You said you had the cash ready." Madeline stammered. I did. I moved it. I saw the balance." Kale's eyes narrowed. "Then where is it now?" When she didn't answer, he grabbed his phone and stormed out of the meditation lodge, leaving her alone. Meanwhile, I sat in my quiet living room back home, sipping a glass of scotch. I wasn't smiling, not because I wasn't satisfied, but because this wasn't revenge driven by hate. It was driven by justice. She tried to ruin me while I was overseas, loyal and vulnerable. She wanted me to break, but now, she was the one unraveling. And that was just the beginning. Chapter 5. Legal Earthquake. 3 days later, Madeline returned home. She didn't walk through the front door because she couldn't. The locks were changed. The gate code didn't work. Her key fob buzzed red. She pounded on the door, screaming my name like a banshee. But I wasn't there. Instead, a calm, suited man walked down the front steps with a document in hand. "Madeline Curtis?" She blinked. "Yes?" "You've been served. The property has been reassigned to its legal trustee. You no longer have claim to this residence." She snatched the paper. "What? This is my house!" He pointed to the line with her signature. The prenup. She had never read it carefully back then, too in love with the idea of marrying a soldier with a steady income and a quiet nature. She had joked about how unnecessary legal documents were in a modern, evolved marriage. Turns out that quiet nature was also strategic. That afternoon, her credit cards began declining. Her new boyfriend, Kale, he was gone. He had ransacked the yoga retreat's donation box, taken her emergency cash, and disappeared without saying a word. Even blocked her. She was stranded, homeless, broke, and betrayed by the very man she threw everything away for. Meanwhile, I walked into my lawyer's office and smiled as he handed me a folder. "Everything's in motion. Your accounts are clean. She's officially off all your assets, and the court date is set for finalization." I nodded. "Perfect. Just one more step." He raised a brow. "What's that?" I took a deep breath. She said I'd start from scratch, but now she's the one who will. I'm going to help her understand what that really means. Final chapter. The ultimate reset. I waited 2 weeks before I made my final move. Madeline had been crashing at a friend's studio apartment, sharing space with 2 cats and a broken heater. She was making desperate calls to old coworkers, begging for job leads. Her name was starting to pop up in HR alerts as a high-risk hire. Word of her attempted trust theft had made quiet rounds in legal circles, exactly as planned. But she still had one thing left, her reputation. And that was my final target. I booked a speaking slot at the very Wellness Expo where she was once a celebrated guest speaker. I was introduced as a veteran entrepreneur who would speak about resilience, reinvention, and respect. As I walked onto the stage, the crowd applauded, unaware of what was coming. I opened with, "I want to share a personal story about betrayal, about trust, and about the difference between silence and weakness." I described how I was divorced by email while deployed, how the woman I trusted tried to steal my inheritance, how she moved a man into my home believing I'd crumble. But I didn't fall apart. I built something better. Out of every piece she tried to break, people gasped, phones recorded, and then I dropped the name. Her name was Madeline Curtis. A hushed shock. Some people knew her, others just stared wide-eyed. But the ripple had begun, and there would be no undoing it. That evening, I received a message from her. "Why would you do this to me? Why humiliate me like that?" I replied only this: "You sent me an email to end our marriage. You stole what didn't belong to you. You mocked my silence. Now you've learned. Revenge doesn't have to be loud. It just has to be final." Epilogue. Today, I live in peace. I started a nonprofit for veterans dealing with betrayal and post-deployment trauma. People think being a soldier is about violence. But real strength? It's staying calm while you watch karma do the work, with a nudge from someone who knows how to strike quietly. And Madeline? She disappeared from social circles, her name synonymous with deception. Sometimes I wonder if she ever tells people why she lost everything. But I doubt she ever mentions my name, because even now, it makes her flinch. Was this revenge perfectly justified? Tell us what you would have done in the comments below. Like the story, share it with someone who needs this energy, and subscribe to Lauren's Story for more jaw-dropping tales of betrayal and justice. Because here, every lie has its reckoning, and every betrayal finds its shadow. Stay sharp, stay strong, and stay tuned.